All right, so we're going to start here on the bottom of Samach Gimel Amud Beis. So we had this Maisa in the Gemara. The Gemara is discussing a lot of Sidurim. So the Gemara, we'll put this here.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. The difference between the Beis HaKnesses and the Beis Medrash is the Beis HaKnesses Mokum Yuchel L'Tfila. A Beis Medrash is the Pshat is that it's for Yeda Zach. Yeah, so here it's a Ganze Maisa, you know. They could have done Kriyas HaTorah by Ma'ariv too, you know. Or would have all worked out. Okay, so we're holding here Samach Gimel Amud Beis by the story Hahi Dahava Korle Nafasa. It's 5 lines down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down in the wide lines. We started this yesterday, but let's finish it up and let's move along. Hahi Dahava Korle Nafasa. There was a woman that her husband wanted to be Megarisher, and her name was Nafasa. That was probably I don't know, is that a Greek kind of a name, Aramaic kind of a name? I haven't heard it. Go to your local Beis Yaakov and see if they have this name. That it's not there. So Ozil Sadi Kosa Tafasa. So with the Adam wrote Tafasa instead of Nafasa, they got the wrong name. Or it's not even like the wrong name. They wrote like the wrong thing. They made a mistake. So Amar Rav Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marta Mishmei Rav. So Rav Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marta said the name of Rav. Also Adam Shlichusa. The Adam did their Shlichus. They did what they were supposed to do. Since he only told the Adam to write one get, so they were Mekayim Shlichus by doing that. They don't have to write another get, because by writing another get, they're doing more than what the Shlichus required of them. Which sounds very strange, because the Maisa they wrote a get, but they messed up, so they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So what's the pshat here?
The get wasn't with the right das. It was made for this person. It wasn't made for that right person. So
Yeah.
So it might not even be a get at all.
Right. So let's see.
But let's say the get is made for this person, and they just thought her name was this, but they did have in mind for this person. Does that count at all?
I mean, so then why do you need the name in the get? If it's
You do need it. That's the part of the I don't know the terminology for it.
the typhus or the tyrant, whichever one. I don't even remember.
Otherwise, everything will be generic, right?
Right. Yeah. About that.
But the Adam testified they did it for this person.
On behalf of this person, obviously.
I mean, you did it on behalf of this person.
They had the mission correct. But,
so that's what we said yesterday, that the pshat is that if you look at Eidei Mesiras, then I think you're okay. If it's Eidei Chesima, then you probably have more of an issue, because Eidei Chesima means that Pechlal, the get is much more totally in the text, that the text needs to be done properly, and if you don't have the text correct, then you have a much bigger issue. If it's Eidei Mesiras, if you have a little bit off, then it's fine. It could be that only, goes back to Daf Yud Zayin, I believe, right? Where the Gemara there talks about Zman Beget and Shemis Beget. So there is in some cases you'll see why it would make an afkamina. So Matzkef l'Rabba, Frek Rabba, Mikamalu, Ksevur Chaspa B'Havala, if you would have told it to write some doodling and to make that for the get, if you told them to write to write cheres on a piece of paper, that's not going to be a good get. What are you talking about? So Avada that they have to make a kosher get, otherwise it's not going to work. Meaning they were Mekayim. What were they Mekayim over here? What kind of shlichus did they Mekayim over here if they didn't write the get properly? Elom Rabba Vada Ikos of Sadi Gita Malya Va'avad also Edom Shlichusa. Says no. There's something else over here. That it's true what Rav is saying, that Vada Ikos of Sadi Gita Malya. If the Adam wrote a good, if the Adam wrote a get kosher, and then they lost the get before they gave it to the woman, in such a case, then you could say that also Edom Shlichusa. Because there they actually had a good get. If you never wrote the get properly to begin with, then you don't have a good get. So in fact, Rav Nachman asked on this, did the Baal tell them to write the get and to put it in their pocket? Avada, he asked them to write the get to give it to the Isha. So if till the get didn't get to the Isha, so then you don't have the get either. The point of the get is to make the gerushin. You didn't make the gerushin here because it got eaten by some bird somewhere along the way, so that doesn't help. It's interesting, we're holding the Samach Gimel and Gitin. Yeah, we know that a get is, like the pasuk says, a kosav l'sev krisus v'no somebody other, right? So you have the kosav la part, you're just missing the v'no somebody other part. Oh, and you're going to tell me it's a good get? But we said yesterday, we sort of dressed to the Gemara in Zion that it's gag chaser v'kafifa, that's fine, right? But to say here, even if the get doesn't get to her, also you mekayim the shlichus. What kind of shlichus you mekayim if you didn't get there yet? So for you to hold on to the get, that doesn't help anybody. The get needs to get to the isha. You need to write it even 100 times if it doesn't get to the woman. So you need to make sure it gets to the woman. So till it gets to the woman, it doesn't help. So avada that the husband appointed these people to write the get, to give the get to them, because otherwise what's the nafkamina? You don't have anything. It's not, you want to say kedushin in a certain hyphen you can get away with a little easier. Because you could, first of all, you could be Mekadosh Rikasef, and you could be Mekadosh with a star, you could be Mekadosh this way, you could be Mekadosh that way, you could appoint a Shliach, and you could be Mekadosh the other way. But Gerushin doesn't work like that. Gerushin is much stricter in terms of how to carry out the get. You can't be Megarish Isha with money, right? We know that from the Gemara. The Gemara goes through this a lot of times. And so Gerushin is very specific. It has to be Sefer Karsa ve'in davar acher Karsa. All the Gemaras that we learned, just about the whole Masechta that we learned so far, all the halachas. Ba'minei Rav Me'Rav Nachman. Rava asked, according to Rav Nachman, that holds that Kaitzin and Naisin, I feel me'eh pa'amim, kids forget to tnu l'shliach. The husband said to two people, write the get and give it to the shliach that I pointed to bring to her. And when the shliach was traveling on the way, he lost the get. So mahu. So what's the halacha? Sluke saluk lahu. Do we look at it as if he completed his shlichus? Meaning he was just appointed to be a shlich lahilacha. So here's actually like a better question. If you appointed Reuven to be a shlich lahilacha and he lost the get somewhere along the way, yes, he's a shlom azl. Yes, you'll probably never hire him for a shlichus again. But in terms of what his job was, his job wasn't to make sure that the get gets to the woman. He's not a shlich l'kabbalah, he's a shlich lahilacha. He's here to transport the get. So if it gets lost, it could be it's not as bad as if he would have messed up, or if he messed us up. So sluke saluk lahu, or oidam l'tircha du chayish, or maybe we could say that avada, the get needs to go to her 100%, and any glitch, any little hiccup, any speed bumps along the way that's not going to allow this get to this woman, so then it's not going to be a good get.
Oh, but if he loses it, so what did he accomplish?
So the question isn't that he lost it. The question is that his shlichus wasn't to make sure that the woman got it.
He has to give it to her shliach to accept it.
Right, and he
lost it. So
yeah, so avada, right. So
it's as if he never left.
Yes, so you Vaitu don't have the get. So it's still it's like an interesting question, like what the Gemara is driving at over here a little bit. But let's see what the Gemara says. Amle Ravina Ravashi. So Zok Ravina Ravashi, if we're going to be patient the suffix of Rava that the Baal was not mechavim to, that the Baal was only mechavim for this person to write the get. So since he wrote the get, he was ready misdalek, so he was ready to finish the shlichus. So we could still be mesupik in a case where he says, he tells the shliach to write the get for his wife and give it to the shliach. V'yoylech lamahu. What's going to be the din? So do we say that since he was mefarish, meaning that's why he said v'yoylech la, which means to appoint them again to make sure that the get gets all the way to her? Meaning, what exactly? Meaning, in terms of the shliach, the shliach accomplished what you told him to do. You gave him some narish job. You didn't tell him to make sure that the get goes all the way to the woman. You just told him, write the get. Hey, maybe you want to write it for a souvenir. Maybe you want to write it for emergency. Maybe you want to write it just in case it looks nice. The guy's nice handwriting. You want to hang it on the wall, right? It's a narish thing of etzem. It's not going to help for the gerushin in such a case. So v'yoylech lamahu. So what's the halacha v'yoylech la? Meaning if he tells them to write the get and bring it to her, and now what happens if he? Meaning, what was their job? Was their job to write the get, or their job was to see to it that this issue would be megureshes? So we could look at it either way. So Zakti Gemara Teku, the Gemara says that we don't, it's unclear, it remains unresolved at the time, and it's a suffix if this issue is megureshes or not. And the parshas would be la'alocha that you would need another get. Okay. What's the vav here? The Rambam. The Rambam is in Perek Beis in Gershon Halacha Tes. Let's see what the Rambam says. Let's see what do you do in such a case. L'chumra, I would imagine that you go l'chumra because that's what we said yesterday in the Gemara. Right?
Right. You don't want to stir.
Yeah, because it's davar sheba erva. You got to be extra careful. That's what That's what that's what we're doing over here. Where are we? Omer lahem abal kisu v'chosmu v'tnu l'shliach v'yoylech lo v'kosu v'nosnu l'shliach v'nimtza get posel or bottle in case you get acher ad sheyimlechu babal, until they get specific instructions from the husband what to do. You have a Gemara in the stop kubazeh, and the Beis Yosef says that Rashi holds beinam hayu by psul asher nevad me'ashliach l'das Rambam hurak v'nimtza posel avol b'nevad nechshav b'vardesh asher shlichusan v'kosu get acher or get bottle. But the like Rabbeinu Yerucham Shekosher Machlekes Rashi Rambam, it seems like it's a big sugi. I'll go find this different sheet to see even how to understand the teku and what happens Allah. Okay, back to the Mishnah a few days ago, in the beginning of the parak. So Reb Shimon Gamliel Leimer Afa Imeres Toili Gitin Rata Lachzor Lo Yachzor. Reb Shimon Gamliel says that even if she says to give me the get, if she wants to be chayzer, she can't be chayzer. Tanu Rabbanu, we learned in a brayso like this: the different lashonos that the mashmos of the language that she uses is going to be a lashon of Kabbalah. Toili, Sali, V'yaheli, V'yadcha, Kulam lashon Kabbalah hain. All these lashonos that if she uses them, she's going to be megureshes right away. If the shliach is mekabel the gut for her with these kind of lashonos, and meaning the point of this brayso is to show us that you're not limited to that specific lashon that the Mishnah says for what Reb Shimon Gamliel is talking about. Okay, fine. I think it's a klar halacha. Dr. Mishnah Nocha halacha. Isha she'amra has kabeli giti. A woman says, "Go be mekabel my get." She tells or shliach, she's memana shliach. She appoints a shliach to be mekabel the get. So tzricha shtei kitei edim, shnayim she'amrim b'fanenu amra, u'shnayim she'amrim b'fanenu kibel kara. She needs two sets of edim. Why? One set of Eidim that says B'fanenu Amra. That Amra what? That the two Eidim say Eidos in front of her that the woman Taka appointed this person to be the Shliach, and that's why he's able to be Makabel the get, and she's Bugareshes in this way. From that Shliach. And another two Eidim that will testify that she was Makabel, that the Shliach was Makabel the get from the husband and ripped it up. What are you ripping it up for? Huh? We don't want to have any of these extra certifications floating around. So we'll see exactly why you need to rip it up. Lamaisa, Bisman Hazeh, they do rip it up. As soon as they give the get, in the bezdin, they take them to shred. Those are those. I never saw it, but that's how they do it.
What happens if you need to prove it later that you actually do it?
So they have everything they need to back it up. Don't worry about it. It's not like it disappears into thin air. Yeah, if they ever need it, they have what it takes. So the way that it's done in Bezdin, I've never seen it, but they ask. I heard from somebody that did it quite recently, and so he was telling me about what was happening, and he said that they asked him 1.5 million questions. Like when like by Adam by a chasana, right? So the Masad Kedushin will ask the chasan, is this your ring? Or do you know these people? The Edom, do you know them? And the Masad Kedushin will ask the Edom a lot of questions, right? So by a get, it's 1,000 times worse. Because being maternatious, to aser, it has its ramifications, obviously. But to be maternatious, you got to be a little more careful. So they ask a lot of questions. So afilu heina rishenim heina achreinim. The first pair of Edom is allowed to be the one. You don't need two separate pairs of Edom. Afilu heina rishenim heina achreinim. They could be the same people. It doesn't really matter. They could both play both roles. Or it could be, one, Reuven from the first set of Edom and Shimon from the second pair of Edom, or Reuven and then he found Levi from the street to be mitzaref to that Edom. So it doesn't really matter. You can mix and match however you want to have these kind of Edoms. It would be a non-issue. Okay, fine. This is the Tapas Hamach Daled Amud Aleph. Itmar. So we learned like this. So if you have a machlokes between the husband and the shliach, who are you going to listen to? Who's the most trustworthy person in this place? So Itmar, so a Gemara like this. A Baal Amar lePikadin, uShlish Amar leGerishin, Mi Neman. Rav Huna Amar Baal Neman, Rav Chisda Amar Shlish Neman. So the Shaila was like this. You had a get that was in the hands of a Shlish. Shlish, Shliach, same thing. So, and he says, the Baal says that I just want to hold on to this. I have absolutely no plans to divorce my wife with this get. And it's just a Pikadin. So what's he going to do with it? He's going to hold on to it. And the Shliach says that no, that he was appointed as a Shliach la Kabbalah by the Isha, and the Baal is giving the get that she should be Megareshus with this get. So me Neman, who's going to be believed? The husband or the Shlish? Yeah, I mean, it's so the Yeshiva Shalamdan with Tain over here, what do you mean? I could just say the get's Mezuyif. If the get's Mezuyif, then he can't use it. If the get's a forged get, so maybe the Shliach's making up a story. Who said he's saying the truth altogether, right? What's it to say that he's Neman, right? Or the husband would say that it's Mezuyif. So the Rashba says that ain't a Neman in such a case because you could be Mekayim the get, like the Gemara says in Daf Lamed Beis. In Yeshalav Ayrin Yiskayim B'Chaisma, if you got to ask the Eden. Another interesting taina that might happen is that the husband might say that he was holding on to the get, had no plans to divorce her, and it fell out of his pocket, so to speak, and the Shlish was the guy that picked it up. So the Shlish says, oh great, now I could make plans to divorce these people. And really the husband never had plans to do that. So the halacha is, the Gemara Basra towards the end says, Ein chayshin l'nefilah, we're not chayshin. The document's a little too precious, it's a little too important, you're not going to drop it. And the Shach in Chesed Mishpat Siman and Vav has big arichas b'inyan zeh. Okay, fine. So mi Neman, who's Neman? Rav Huna Amar Baal Neman. Rav Huna says that the husband's Neman of Ein Megureshes. They're not going to be Megureshes. Rav Chisda Amar Shlish Neman. Rav Chisda says that the Shlish is going to be believed. Rav Huna Amar Baal Neman dim Isad l'Gershin Yav en Yale l'Zidah Havi Yav lan Yalo. So Rav Huna says that the reason why it's mistaber to say that the husband is right over here, and that he's holding on to it as a Bikodan, because the Misad l'Gerishin Yav en Yale, because if he was taki using the L'Shem Gerishin, l'Zidah Havi Yav lan Yalo, the Isha would give it to the Isha would have the gets, the Shlish wouldn't be holding on to it because they don't live too far away from each other. It's not like you need to call the UPS or whatever, FedEx to mail the get. She lives a couple of blocks away, so they could, she could have it. She could be holding on to it. Rav Chisda Amar Shlish Neman da Hemne. Rav Chisda says that the Shlish is Neman because after all you're trusting him, which is a very interesting concept when it comes to Shlichus Bechlal. That a Shliach, generally speaking, we should say is Neman, because otherwise, let's say in the case of Gemara before, right? I ask you to bring the Shliach I ask you to, a simple case, not involving Gerushin. I ask you to pay. I owe a guy $1,000. I ask you, please, deliver this check to the other guy, right? I don't hear from you for 3 months. I call you up. I say, what's going on? I didn't hear from you. I didn't hear from you. What's going on with your shlichus? I don't know you. $1,000 check. Gantzazach says he never heard of it. Yeah. If I can't trust you with the money, I'm not going to rely on you to do these important tasks for me. Right? So the fact that I'm asking you to do such serious things, to take care of such serious business, vice versa, I trust you very well. So Rav Chisda is saying that the trust that you have in the shlish and the shliach overrides the nemanis of the Baal, even in this case, which is good which is a starker point over here. So Maser Rav Abba, Frek the Gemara, Haydas Balden Kmeidim Dami. A person that's made it to his friend that he owes him money, it's as if 100 Eidim were made on this. It testified about this, and he has to pay kifi what he spoke about. So with shlish neman mishneya, and the Brayza continues and said that the shlish is even more neman than the case of Adas Valdin. So Keita. So what are we talking about? Za'ir Merkach. Yeah. The Ruvain says, I owe you. Ruvain says, you owe me $1,000. And the other one says he doesn't owe you $1,000. So shlish, neman, if the money is being held onto by a third party, the shlish, he's going to be neman over here. And, so if, let's say the case was a person left, let's say I leave money by you. And the other guy says that the other guy says that I gave you the money for you, not to hold on to, but it's for you. So the shlish is going to be more neman than the two balei. There's two balei, whatever the case would be. Yeah, there's two balei din and there's a shlish. So the two balei din are going to be neman more than the shlish is going to be neman. Yeah. So Zok to Gomor that we have an issue over here. That it's not the same. We can't mamish compare it to the case of Hardas Baldina. Why is that? Shani Momed is Yahav Lamechila. We have to be mechalak between monetary laws, and a get. Why? Because money you could be beichel. You say, what, if the shlish, if I gave the money to the shlish, then I'm relying on him, and even if it's not true, so that I gave the money to the shlish, so I'm going to be meichel the money that I gave them. By a get, there's Isra involved over here. There's the Eish Ish. So we can't trust the shlish to say. It's very nice that in certain areas the Torah trusts the shlish. When it comes to gerushin, we can't do that. Zok Rashi, shemachel lemachel, hilkach shlish neman. If he could be machel, so that the shlish would be neman. Kem shemina emasa biyad, and it's ratzavat the I trust you, and I have my betachin in you, so you could be machel the money ulahamin kol mashi yomer. Avol b'milsa the isur ein biyad ulahamin. How could you trust him when it comes to isur? When it comes to isur, it's a whole different ballgame. You can't say that. But money, you could be machel. How could he be machel? Oh, so fine. So you don't have to give a get. Just be meichel. No such thing. In order for this woman to marry again, she needs to have a get. She doesn't have a get. It doesn't work. But Tanya, but we learned in the brayso that we have a brayso that would sound like kerson. It's v'chein legitin. So the halacha is like this. The brayso says like this. We said before that it does baldin k'mei edim dami, and the shlish is naman even more than that. But the brayso continues, and the brayso says that the same is true for gittin, that the shlish is naman more than the edim, more than the balei din. So then the shlish should be naman by gerushin as well. So Zok the Gemara gitin mammon. It doesn't mean gittin as in get isha, but it means for get mammon. Shtaris of mammon she'ain get al lashon shtar. Get means the shtar. Get doesn't necessarily mean a divorce document. In fact, the Gemara v'Tanya v'chein l'shtaris. The Bryce also says that the same is true that the shlish is namad by shtaris of mammon. So then it'd be madna to say that gitin, gitin and shtaris. If it means the same thing, so why does the Bryce repeat itself? So Zok Gemara this is ken kasher because midi gavi adadi Tanya. These two brides aren't together, and v'chein l'gittin v'chein l'shtaris. It's not like they were learned together at the same time. So we could say that each one was learned separately. Each one is the bride on its own. So one time they said, v'chein l'gittin, and another time they said v'chein l'shtaris. So it was two different people at two different times. It was lav dafka, it's lav dafka one sentence that's repeating itself. It was different times. They used different lashonos. Okay, so again we had Rav Huna and we had Rav Chisda. So Rav Chisda said that the shlish is neman. So let's see how that works with our Mishnah. Because tonight we learned in our Mishnah, Yisha she'amar eskabeli giti, tzricha shtei kiti edem, shnayim she'emir b'fanenu amra, shnayim she'em b'fanenu kibel l'kara. So again, we have a woman that says to the shliach to go be mekabel to get to her, so she needs to bring two sets of edem. One, shnayim she'emir b'fanenu amra, two edem that are going to say that she appointed us to be makabel to get to her, and two people that are going to say that she taka was makabel to get. But amai, and why do you need to bring edim that she said to the shliach to be makabel to get, and another pair of edim that she was makabel to get? Lehemnei l'shlish. Why can't we trust the shlish to the shliach? Why can't we? He'd be a one size fits all. He'll take care of everything. The shliach will take care of everything. Dr. Gemar mikanafik ita mitusa yadid lehemnei. We're not talking about a case where the get came out of his hands, so we're not gonna trust him. Look, Rashi, according to the lumdus of a shlish, that a shlish is naman even more than the balei din, so then the shlish should be naman even more than the ish over here. So amai boy edom, why do I need edom klal altogether? I shouldn't need to have, technically speaking, let's read this understanding. I shouldn't need edom for the Kabbalah. and I shouldn't need Eidim for the Amira either. From the fact that you see that the husband trusted this person, so that should be good enough to trust him for whatever else he says. So everything Gemara no, because who's holding on to the get? Meaning it's different. A regular does Baldin, you want to say that you could trust him, that a shlish would be naman by regular mammon, fine. But over here you need to bring a raya, and the raya is going to be whoever's holding on to the get. Do you have the get in front of us so you could show us? Hakara, you ripped it up. Even though you have the pieces that get ripped up in front of us, he's only considered a shlish if he can prove his shlichus, in front of us. Because just like we would say, the iboy have a avid bay, Omar, just like we're saying that we should trust him based on what he says, and then we have to, we would trust him what he has in his hands, and we would trust him what he would say also. It's one thing if he has the ability to pull out the star and show it to us, but now at this point, because it's ripped up, he can't show it to us, he can't prove anything to us. So it's one thing if he's able to pull out the get to show us. If he can't, so then we can't trust him. So in such a case, even though normally we would say that the shlish would taka be naman, in this case we can't because he's not the one that's going to be able to procure the get for us. So frankly, Gemara Teinach Amra to Kiva Lamali. So Bishlama, why she needs Adam to say that why she needs Adam to testify that she said to the shlich to be mekabel for I could understand, because the get ripped up and he can't. You need to be able to have some proof, so that proof will be in the Edom. But why do you need to have Edom that the shliach was mekabel the get from the husband? Even if it's ripped up, I'll go upon him. This that the gets in his hands is a raya that he was mekabel the get from the husband. So Zok Gemara Omar Rabba Hamani Rabba Lazi Domer Edom Sir Garsi. So our Mishnah holds a Rabba Lazi that holds that Edom that see the Mesiras Haget, that is what gives the power to the get and do the creases between the husband and the wife. So it's not enough that we say that you see ripped up get papers in his hand, but you need to have an edus that saw the Kabbalah Saget, because that's what Edom Mesira is. Otherwise, you don't have the get Bechlal. So Kara Lomali. So why do you need to rip it up altogether? So I'm Rabbi Yudah Merab B'Shas Gzeira Shanu. We're talking about B'Shas Gzeira. What does that mean? Shegazru ala mitzvahs, the goyim were geyser was a shas hashmad, and the goyim were geyser on the mitzvahs. They wouldn't even allow them to make gitin. So over here they bring from the Trumas Hadeshan. I'll read it one line. It's interesting. Mashanago hayom l'krayas aget. So why do you rip it up today? Mela b'shas hashmad. So the goyim, you have to hide all the evidence. Fine, well, you don't need to hide evidence today. There's no problem. No one has a problem with a religious get. So, even though the Gzeira is already bottled, we still keep up the minig. We rip up the get like the original minig. Just like we find, like by Tkir Shayfer and Rosh Hashanah, the main Tkir Shayfer we do is by Musaf, whether in the Shtil Shemana Esrei or in the Harich Shemana Esrei. Right? Either way, the point was that originally he was using Makdim Lemitzvah, so technically speaking, you should be blowing shofar by Shabbos, not by Musaf. Right? So, but Machmas HaGzera, they pushed it off. So the Afshak Gzera Batal, HaMinig Le Batal. Even though the Gzera is Batal, but the Minig is not Batal. I wonder, I'm assuming that there are other scenarios where, that's how the Minig came about. It's interesting, but that was the story of why we rip up the guy. Omar Rabba, so Rabba says, Umayda Rav Huna who says that the Baal is Neman. Umayda Rav Huna is going to agree with that the Baal is not going to be Neman. Di Amr Ihi, if the Isha said, L'di Omar Shlish the Lagerishin Yavan Yele Mehemna. If the Shlish told the Isha that the Baal is specifically giving you this gut for Gerushin, Sarah Mehemna, she's believed. Frankly, how could that be? Could you tell me something that is it possible to say that there's something that the shlish himself is not going to be believed, and the isha is going to be believed? Meaning, she's saying something b'shem the shlish, right? It's one thing if you say something. It's one thing if I say something, right? It's one thing if I say something in your name that you actually said, right? But if I say something in your name that you never ever said, right? So you're not going to be believed, and I am going to be believed. How does that make any sense? If you said it bishmi, then if I said it, then I should be neman too. And we're saying that in this case, it's not going to work like that. So how could that be? So if the woman said that the husband gave the get to the shlish in front of me, l'shem gerushin, then she's believed. Because he could say, if she was lying, she could say, and she could taina that she herself was makabel the get from the husband. And technically speaking, if you want to rely on her, then you could rely on her to say that to be believed, right? So too now also, even though she didn't say that, but she said that the husband gave over the get in front of me to the shlish for gerushin. So too in this case, she's going to be nemenes. She's going to be believed.
And if she says, I got it directly from him, you don't believe it.
Right. Okay, another interesting case in the Gemara. Baal Omar, the Baal says, L'gerushin. The Baal says, I gave the shliach to give it to the isha for gerushin. V'shlish Omar L'gerushin. V'hi omeres nosan liva ovad. The Baal says, I gave it to her for gerushin. The shlish says, I was makabel for the isha for gerushin. And she says, I lost the get. So I'm Rabbi Yechanan v'davar shebe'erva v'davar shebe'erva pachas mishnayim. Rabbi Yechanan says that this is a davar shebe'erva, and this woman is becheskas eches, and she's asura al kol ha'olam, and you need to have at least two edim over here. Since you don't have a kosher edus that she got divorced, even though the husband and the isha and the shlish are all saying that she got divorced, they're not nemon, and she's still going to be asur. Because you don't have an edus testifying that. We don't have any proof to back it up. Right? A baldin in terms of mamanis is going to be nemon, but a baldin in terms of erva is not going to be nemon. Why do you need two edim for this? Going back to this whole sugya, why can't we just say that we'll trust the shlish if we were trusting him until now? So it's one thing if he's the one that's procuring the get, that he received it in terms of it being his get. But this wasn't received as his get. This is he's being the middleman to make sure that everything works out. Right? So the get's not yotzim mitachas yodai, that we should believe him that he got divorced. He's not getting divorced over here. He's just the worker over here that's making sure that everything is going to fall into place. Frankly, Gemara, next best is to trust the husband. So why can't you trust the husband that he divorced the wife? Rabbi Yechanan says that a person who says that he divorced his wife is naman, because why would he lie in such a case? Since he's able to divorce her right now, so if he says that he was megarish, so he's believed. So the Gemara says, Mikam Gerashti. Over here he didn't say he was megarish to Isha. Over here he said the Baal's, what was Lashon of the Gemara? The Lashon of the Gemara was Baal Omer LeGerishin. But Baal said, I gave this get for Gerishin. He didn't say I divorced her. He said I gave it to her for Gerishin. So he's just saying that he gave the get to the shlish b'teira shliach, and we don't know. We don't know yet if it processed anything, if anything went through. Is kentan the ganze Sache never happened? So frankly, Gemara v'leim chazaka shliach has shlichusai. There's a chazaka that a shliach carries out his the task that he was told to do. Rabbi Yitzchak says, a person who tells a shliach go out and be mekadosh me a woman doesn't specify anybody. Umei shluchai. And the shliach dies, we have to be chayshish over here that any woman may be the kreva of this woman that was that the shliach was mekadosh, and we can't say that maybe he wasn't mekadosh shliach at all. Why is that? Because chazaka is shlichusay. Because avada was mekadosh and isha, and we have no idea who it is, so we don't know who the krevim are.
No, right? But the shliach is always believed. So what do you need the second pair of edim for between the shliach and the woman?
Yes, the Gemara asked that before.
You only need the first set.
Look for that, right? Right. So the Gemara answered for that because that's Edim Misiri Karsi. Right? Should we stop here? It looks like we got to stop here. Okay. Fine, Murdig. I mean, there's a couple of lines left to the Mishnah, but I don't know. I don't think they left. All right. All those who daven Marv, they don't have to daven again. And all those didn't daven Marv, now they could daven Marv now.